It all began, as so many bad things do, with a good intention. The power of magic, the might of Chrylsis himself, was brought to bear in the creation of something that would, in the end, spell the downfall of many of his own kind, and the beginning of the end for the lesser entities of the spheres. The intention had been a noble one, to help another in need, to bridge the gap between the daemon source and the deified host, but this was not to be. Fate, it seems, has a way of bending the reality of a circumstance against intended wishes, and creating more problems than could ever have been foreseen. Daemons were born of the source, the demonic essence that resides deep within the demonic planes. Upon each demonic plane lies a controlling daemon, unique in its own right. They feed upon the magic that resides in all, stripping it from the worlds and planes, and bolstering their strength. Creatures born entirely of magic become one with them, and their knowledge is passed on. War was a way of existence among the demonic planes, as they vied for portions of power that others had, in order to strengthen their own, and survive against the odds. Each daemon is born of a sliver of the demonic essence that is the source, but it cannot enter the prime directly. These places, where Chrylsis and others had created nexuses that bore life and nodes to the other planes of existence, it instead created its own lesser versions, children of their visage, to push forth and find more power, and the gods themselves had made this possible. Until the worlds had arrived, floating in the void, anchored by nodes and nexuses and flows of magic, the daemons had no way to gain more power, other than by warring upon their own kind, as they had no contact, no way of pushing forth. However, once they had such, they spilled forth in an endless assault upon that which now touched their homelands. In the distant past, Chrylsis had taken it upon himself to craft upon many worlds, and in doing so began crafting life along with the other entities and forces of the cosmos. Many worlds were fused into being, and in time many had form and then life upon them. Upon one of them, the forces of the daemon planes pierced the void, and gained a foothold, feasting upon the energy of the world that had been created. As the daemons themselves could not pierce the veil, their lesser forms, to be known eventually to the denizens of those planes as demons, wrought havoc in their stead, soon becoming the scourge of the creations of life. Those of the deified host sent agents of their own to aid in repelling these hordes, but they were not used to this threat, and were ill prepared for the assaults. In defending this world a grave error was made, as the daemons discovered a new source of sustenance, more potent than the winds of magic, and so they swept across the lands, through the plains, and resided inside the lesser creatures of existence, for they had tasted the divine. Eventually the demonic forces began to rend holes in the reality of the world with their newfound power, bleeding their planes onto the prime and eventually creating a rip in the very fabric of reality. Chrylsis saw this, and knew he could not interfere with such matters directly. His initial encounters with the demonic source aeons past had indicated that should the void ever be removed, the deified host would be devoured in time, with little to no way of directly combating their demise. Although the source itself showed no direct interest in absorbing them, those spawned of his essence, the daemons, and all of their ilk, would readily strip the energy from the gods themselves. He sought a pact with the demonic host, and appeared to them. They of course attacked, and tried to rip his power from him, but they underestimated the one true power, and were pushed back with ease as they had not the power to harm him, not with their own energies this far removed from the source. The rip they had torn was mended, as their kind were pushed back, and this first incursion was abated.